going on, kids? So my birthday was yesterday. I am so hoping that I'm gonna put this video out today so me saying my birthday was yesterday actually makes sense. And it was very lovely. And I just quickly wanted to say, anybody who was on History of Batman's Instagram and Twitter and Facebook that sent me comments and DMs and did stories and all of that wished me happy birthday, I honestly appreciate it. You guys are so sweet, and it made me becoming an old lady even better. But I do want to say, I want to give a shout out to my parents, especially my mom, because she's the one that, you know, gave birth to me. They gave me such an amazing evening, including two very lovely Batman-esque presents. They gave me these Batman stud earrings, which, oh my god. And they gave me this little Batman necklace that matches my shirt today, but look at it. I love it so much. Why I didn't have Batman jewelry like this before? Don't ask me, but I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm very appreciative of all of the love and support that I received on my birthday, and just in general. It's crazy to be able to sit in front of a camera or be on Instagram and write about Batman and people care about it and care about me in a sense, and I am just very grateful for that. So sorry this was a very mushy beginning, but now we're going to get into some WTF facts. Welcome back, Gothamites. If you're new here, hi. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. I figured I'd do something fun that was also educational, but also entertaining, and also rather just lighthearted, because I'm still planning on different videos that I'm gonna put up in the next week or so. I'm hoping to plan like 2 videos to put up next week, but this is a video that is similar to one that I did a while ago, and I think that one was called like 7 WTF facts about Batman that you didn't know, and I absolutely love doing the research for that. So I wanted to do that again, but with new facts that maybe you guys don't know. I wanted to do that with you guys today and just have a little fun. It's the weekend. It's a holiday weekend. President's Day is tomorrow. Hopefully this doesn't come out on President's Day. I'm really hoping this comes out like today. Let's just jump in. I'm not gonna stay here and just ramble, but I do hope with these fun, crazy facts that you learn a little bit more about your favorite Caped Crusader. But before we learn some jaw-dropping facts, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become part of this wonderful Gothamite community. Do you see my Hall of Justice back here? Do you see it? I had to kind of rearrange, but like not really. Like I did the bare minimum of getting this stuff in there, but I had to put the Hall of Justice here with my little super friends Batman. Oh my gosh. So if you want to see this unboxing, I think it's in the frame. I'm like blind right now. This ring light is killing me. But if you want to see that, I did an unboxing. That was my last video for Entertainment Earth. So thank you, Entertainment Earth, for sending this to me to share with you Gothamites. So if you want to check that out, I say go do that, you know? This first WTF fact is actually one that I learned years ago, but it resurfaced and became a story again right after actor Burt Ward, who played Dick Grayson / Robin in the live-action 1960s TV show Batman, which is starring Adam West, and then he also went on to voice Robin in the 1970s within animation, and then he did another movie, and then he voiced Robin again in The Return of the Caped Crusaders, and he's Robin. He's like one of the OG Robins. He's fantastic, and I've met him in person. In particular, I think the first time I met him was actually recently, or as recently as you can get, at the Hollywood Museum's Catwoman exhibit gala, and he was there with his wife, and they were both so very nice. So he's a very nice man. I'm sure maybe you've heard of this before, but because Burt Ward recently received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, which is so dope. And you can go see it right now if you're in the area. He did many interviews with different outlets. And so he revisited something that many people do know. When he first was cast as Robin for the 66 show Batman, you know the outfit. This is the outfit. It leaves nothing to the imagination. But apparently his, how can I talk about this without getting like demonetized as hell? His, I want to say his little Robin, but the point of this entire fact is that it wasn't little. Apparently his southern region was a little bit too much, or gave too much of a bulge. And it was noticeable enough to the producers, but not just the producers. The actual Catholic League of Decency. Why does that sound so made up? They were concerned that him having this little Robin, big Robin, down there bulge issue would be too indecent for the wholesome channel of ABC. So literally, the people on the show gave him pills, gave him medicine to try and shrink his package. So that just seems insane to me. Now, like I said, this isn't something brand new. This has been discussed for years, but it just came back into the limelight because he got the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And I guess good for him. Such a weird thing to be like, congrats, you have a bulge. Like, throughout the show, they literally gave him size pills, but the opposite of what size pills do. It's like, I guess for a man, that's great to have that problem. I don't know. I'm not a man. So, I mean, men watching this, which is most of my audience that watches this video, you tell me, because I don't know. I figured that was very interesting. And originally watching the show, I didn't notice it because I was young, and why am I looking at Robin's little Robin? You know? So awkward. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to the next one. But yes, like, literally just type in Burt Ward and tons of articles. He originally talked about this with Page 6, and I know that that article is online. So if you are interested, I'll probably link it in the description if you want to read more about his interview. He talked more about that, he talked more than just about that particular experience. So if you're just interested in what Burt Ward has to say about his time as being Robin alongside Adam West Batman, I definitely recommend you checking it out. Okay, this next one is also rather common. I know I said like ones you didn't know, but I know that this has been making the rounds over the last 2 years when it first started, and that is the fact that if you really, really want to, you can take a college credited course all about Batman. And I know it's like, well, I do this every day, so why do you need to pay to learn about Batman? But no, this is actually way more official than I am. Why do I think of myself so highly in this regard? Probably because I literally read and watch and study Batman every day. That's not even an exaggeration. Like, so maybe I just feel like I should be a professor. However, in the fall of 2018, the University of Baltimore started a whole ass college course called The Evolution of Batman that is taught by Professor Stephen Leyva, L-E-Y-V-A. I hope I am pronouncing that right. If not, I am terribly sorry. And what the professor said was that it is a look at how this DC Comics character, Batman, over the last 80 years, or almost 80 years at that point, has grown up with 20th century America. Now on this channel, whether you watch videos here or you follow on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or listen to the podcast or however you get your history of the Batman fix, I am not picky. Just go support. Batman and pop culture coincide all the time. And Batman reflects on what is happening within pop culture in every decade since he debuted in 1939. And because he is so ingrained into the pop culture, American pop culture especially, I mean, of course, Batman is amazing all around the world. I mean, even in the 60s, Batman manga in Japan was huge, which was one of my favorite things to read and study. This professor believes that it is something worth actually studying within an academic sense. And in this course, you get to learn about some of the best things ever. You get to focus on the 1960s Batman TV show. You get to focus on the 1990s animated TV show, Batman the Animated Series. And of course, you get to focus on major comic book arcs and stories and creators that all helped mold and shape Batman, fitting into what we see as American pop culture over the last 80 years. And also the other college course that I think came out first, I think this is the first one that people realize, oh, you could study Batman, is actually at the University of Victoria, and it is called The Science of Batman. And this one is way more, I guess, within the science realm than looking at the character's role within pop culture. It actually studies the Caped Crusader's body, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, and how he can withstand all of the things that he goes through, whether it's in comics, film, TV, video games, and how a body that goes through such rigorous training and fighting actually survives and how it functions. I think that's so interesting. So if you are more into the how does Batman influence pop culture and how has it molded into the American pop culture that we know and love, if that is your thing, maybe go check out that course if you were able to go to the University of Baltimore. But if you are into the science of Batman, into how his body works and functions within this DC Comics universe, then check out the course Science of Batman at University of Victoria. I mean, it's insane that you can go and take courses learning about Batman because he is such an influential fictional character, enough so that people want to study him in all different types of ways. And I think that alone just shows the power that this character has within our lives, whether or not you're a big fan of Batman or not. I just think that's super cool. Like, I wish I could take those courses. Like, I want to go back to school and do that. So cool. Anyway, so yeah, go check those out. I know there are actually other classes that people are teaching. I believe Paul Levitz, who I've spoken to on my podcast before, and he is a living legend, I believe he actually is teaching a course about Batman. And also Michael Uslan. And I could be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure he did a class or two teaching about Batman because Michael Uslan, is the one that literally brought Batman back on film after Adam West. So there's just lots you can learn about Batman in a collegiate sense, and I think that's really, really cool. So check those out if you're interested. Our next WTF fact is one of my favorites, and the first time that I actually learned about it was back in 2017. And that is that Hugh Hefner, Playboy founder Hugh Hefner, who did pass away in 2017, and that is how I read up on it and learned more about it. He is a huge reason why the Batman 1966 TV show exists. Follow me here. So in 2017, the founder of Playboy magazine, Hugh Hefner, died at the age of 91, and I'm pretty sure he lived a great life. And Hugh Hefner, oddly enough, like everyone, I'm just saying, if you're like, I'm not a fan of Batman, secretly, somewhere in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, you like Batman. Just accept it. We all like Batman. Well, he was a huge fan of the Silver Age comics, the comics of the late 1950s and the 1960s. He loved Batman comics. So much so that in 1965, at the Playboy Mansion, he held a Batman screening party that screened the Batman black and white serials, the first one that came out in 1943 by Columbia Pictures, and the second one, Batman and Robin, that came out in 1949. And attending at this party was not only Bob Kane, who is of course the co-creator of Batman, but also a big executive at ABC. And observing the people at the party watching these black and white serials, which of course were a little campy, a little silly, considering they were in the 1940s. It's the first time Batman's on screen, and there were lots and lots of different issues, whether it was costume or set design or whatever. It was just very campy. It was very fun, and people enjoyed that. And because of the reaction at this Playboy Mansion in Chicago, at this party, the executive at ABC really wanted to push the idea that they already kind of been mulling around about having a Batman TV show within this era. And basically, if you didn't know, the Batman 66 show is literally making fun of the serials. So combined with that, the fact that ABC recently acquired the rights to Batman, so they were able to put him on TV, and just the American pop art movement that just took storm during the early and mid 1960s, all that rolled into one made Batman 66, the TV show, seem like this is the perfect time to put the Caped Crusader on TV. And so of course a year later, on January 12th, 1966, Batman debuted, and the rest is literally history. Just a little tidbit, I mean, Hugh Hefner's Playboy magazine over the years interviewed some awesome Batman affiliated people, such as Christopher Nolan, who was the director of the Dark Knight trilogy that starred Christian Bale as Batman. He interviewed Grant Morrison, who had his incredible Batman run, which is one of my absolute favorites. He even interviewed Ben Affleck, who was our DC Extended Universe Batman. Playboy isn't just about nudity, okay? The interviews are great. I know it's a joke like, oh, I get Playboy for the interviews. No, actually, anytime I see someone that I'm like, ooh, I'm interested in seeing what they say, like Stan Lee, for instance. Like a few years before he passed away, he did an interview with Playboy. I got that issue because guess what? I wanted to read about Stan Lee. Like, I'm just saying, the interviews were top notch. I'm just saying. Hugh Hefner is a huge reason why the Batman 66 TV show even saw the light of day. And that's just great. Okay, these next two I think are crazy. Like so random. But they both involve the 1992 Tim Burton Batman sequel film Batman Returns, which starred Michael Keaton as Batman, Michelle Pfeiffer as Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, and Danny DeVito, who played Oswald Cobblepot and the Penguin. Now, the first fact, which I think is so bold of y'all to do this, was that during the time that Batman Returns was being promoted, of course there were billboards and toys and all kinds of things promoting this movie. They actually had posters at bus stops, which you still see today. That is a very common practice today in promoting whatever, not just film, but TV, products, anything. But of course, there was a lovely poster of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman promoting Batman Returns. Did you know, because I recently just learned this, that people love this woman so much, and they still love her. Michelle Pfeiffer is a queen, like an absolute queen. They stole the posters, like frequently, like every day you go to a bus stop, someone went, whether it was at night, I don't know if they were that bold to do it in the daytime, but they stole the poster from the bus stop. And it became such a problem that police actually had to stay at the bus stops and like patrol them to assure that they don't steal these Hollywood produced, really high quality posters. Like, I guess if you're like, I just need a big old Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman on my wall because I want to ogle her, I have no idea. But the funny thing is, those posters, or at least some of them, they're up on eBay right now. They're just worth a lot of money. So if you were like, I want one of those posters, like for your man cave or whatever, like you can go buy them. You just gotta cough up some coin, but like that was totally a thing. And I think that is hilarious because who does that? I don't know. And then the next one that also deals with Batman Returns, I'm pretty sure I have discussed in one of my videos before, just in passing. I don't remember which one. But since we want to be extra out here, in Batman Returns, the penguins that you see in Danny DeVito's penguin lair, those were real penguins. And in order for them to be, you know, groomed and fed and taken care of, and even to just have them on set literally every day while they were filming, cost over $1 million. Just for penguins. Like, that's it. It's not even for costume design or set design or even the Batmobile. No. For penguins, to make sure they are comfortable and they're not being, you know, it's not cruel to them, and to make sure they were comfortable as hell, cost over $1 million. And that is a weird fact to me. Like I said, that one isn't really like, ooh, didn't know that. That's been floating around, but that's actually a thing. I read up on it. That's a thing. I think that's hilarious. Stealing posters from bus stops, paying $1 million to have real penguins on set. Batman Returns was out there, you know what I mean? The next one I first learned, and I'm sure other people who have interviewed Grant Morrison before I was able to have him on my podcast, probably he discussed, but I loved this fact because I was shook when I first heard it. So I interviewed Grant Morrison, and that was one of the best interviews I've ever done in my entire life because I was in awe at this man. I just wanted to climb into his brain because I was like, how are you living this life? Like, how are you thinking this way? I was in awe of his mind. And I don't really say that about anybody. I think that's why I love his writing. It's insane. Anyway, he told me, because I was asking him, of course, about Damian Wayne. And of course, what led to that was me asking him why he basically retconned Mike W. Barr's Batman Son of the Demon graphic novel that came out in 1987 and made Batman and Talia coming together to create Damian Wayne, their biological son, unconsensual. Basically, Talia sexually assaulted Batman. She drugged him and practically raped him, and she got pregnant, and then 10 years later, she comes and say, hey, guess what? This is your child. Like, so I asked him why, and basically his answer was, oh, I didn't really care. Like, he was literally saying, you know, I didn't even really think about the 1987 graphic novel. I just wanted to put this in my own story, unapologetically so. But he told me that he himself made Damian Wayne a brat, like an arrogant POS. And he honestly thought that he was so much of a brat that by issue Batman 666, if you haven't read that before, it is one that is an alternate universe that shows Damian Wayne growing up to be Batman, but living in a literally hellish Gotham. It's actually a very great issue. It's written by Grant Morrison and illustrated by Andy Kubert. So if you want to check that out, it is definitely a great book and a great collectible. Anyway, he said after that issue, he just thought Damian would just go away. That he just wouldn't be part of the Batman mythos anymore. He expected Damian Wayne to literally go away. He just debuted really recently in the arc Batman and Son when Talia introduced him as Bruce's child. And then, of course, he was messy. He hated the Batman family. He hated Tim Drake, you know, all of that. Because he was just... I personally do not like the Damian Wayne character. Of course, over the years, he has learned more from his father to be a better person and not just follow the steps of Talia, his mother, and his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul, and the League of Assassins, and just to be a cold-blooded killer. He has actually grown in everything, which I do appreciate. However, he's just not my favorite character. So when Grant Morrison told me on the podcast that he thought it was just going to be over with, he was surprised that the fans liked the character, and they liked him so much he was like, okay, I guess I'll keep writing him during his run. And I was like, wow. And the thing is, I don't even know what would happen. Like, if Damian Wayne did disappear after Batman 666, like, I don't even know what that would mean. At that point, Damian wasn't Robin yet. I don't know how that would play out actually in Batman comics. Tell me in the comments how you think that would happen. But yeah, Damian Wayne was supposed to go away after only a few issues, and I think that's pretty interesting. And it makes me think how the Batman mythos would evolve over the next years, pre-New 52, New 52, DC Rebirth, all that. So I think that's interesting. This next one is a really quick fact because obviously many people know, whether you don't read comics and you saw Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice in 2016, you know of Frank Miller's Batman The Dark Knight Returns. It was originally a 4-issue arc that came out in 1986, and it was part of the new movement of the adult graphic novel, along with Alan Moore's Watchmen and other DC Comics books. Although now it is considered a groundbreaking comic book series and considered by many one of the greatest Batman stories ever told, I don't agree with that, but I don't hate it, so it's fine. Apparently, when Batman The Dark Knight Returns was first introduced, saying, oh, it's going to come out, all of that, critics did not like the idea. They actually hated the fact that Frank Miller was making Batman, who forever, since his debut in 39, and we're going, what, 50 years in? Almost 50 years in? Batman has always been a young, athletic, go-getter, Caped Crusader. He always has been. He hasn't ever really been depicted as an old man that's barely keeping his body together, you know? Like, never. And so critics hated the fact that Frank Miller made Batman basically weak. They did. They did not like the fact that he was making him retired, that he was making him old, that he was making him practically broken down, that he was such a cynical Bruce Wayne more than anything else. They hated that. They were like, this is not okay. Like, I don't know why Frank Miller is trying to quote unquote tarnish the Batman legacy with this Dark Knight Returns. That was the first initial response to the introduction of Frank Miller, Klaus Janson, Lynn Verley doing this. Which now, of course, looking back at it, once the book came out, it was critically acclaimed, and they were like, wow, this is better than I thought. Now, not to say that there aren't criticisms and that there weren't issues around the book, which I actually did a video a long time ago, and I talked about some reasons that The Dark Knight Returns is essential and some reasons that it's actually very damaging to the Batman character. It's an old video, but it was one that I really enjoyed doing and discussing. I think I brought up some interesting topics, so I'll put that in the description below if you are interested. Yeah, I think that's crazy. Now that everyone literally, I don't want to be graphic, but literally like sucks the D of Frank Miller and is just so obsessed with DKR and all of that, and the fact that critics were like, nah fam, this ain't it sis, you know what I mean? It's just, it's interesting. Critics and fans, they have such a high regard for the Batman character that if they see this character portrayed in something that is foreign to them, that maybe they're just not feeling, or like, oh, I'm not used to this, there's just outrage. It just is. And I don't know why we're like that. Like, I really, really don't. I don't understand why we do this. When you should just see how it goes. Go along for the ride. Hey, you may like it. You don't know. Critics actually hated The Dark Knight Returns initially, which, like I said, that's crazy considering DKR is considered for me one of the best Batman comics of all time. Hey, you know? Tell me if you like DKR. Most people do. Most people won't say that they don't. I have reasons why I think it's and other reasons why I think it's very important. So, yeah. Yay for criticism. Okay, this next one I thought was so funny. So funny. It was part of the reason why I did another WTF Batman Facts, because I was like, really? Disclaimer, I don't really indulge in Pornhub, okay? Like, so don't be like, you're talking about it, so that means you like, I just don't. And I don't care if other people do. I really don't. I'm not that person. I'm not like, oh, just because I don't like that doesn't mean I care if other people do. Apparently. It's so funny. So, as we know, Todd Phillips' movie, DC Comics film Joker, which stars Joaquin Phoenix, which he's right up there. I unboxed him for Network, and if you're interested in that unboxing, I'll put that in the description below because that's what I do. Ever since its October 4th debut, Pornhub has reported that there have been over, I think, 740,000 searches for Joaquin Phoenix as Joker on the site. What? Now, don't get me wrong, because I remember when It came out. You know, Stephen King's It and Pennywise, all that. Of course, I love Stephen King's work, so I'm obsessed with the movies, all of the movies. I own all of them. And people were like, ooh, Pennywise is sexy as hell. And I'm like, is he? I mean, as Pennywise, not the actor, but as the scary ass clown. How is that sexy? I don't know. It's just not my thing, whatever. But literally, there are women, men, I don't know. But it's 740,000 searches, so somebody. But they literally are searching for Joaquin Phoenix as Joker, doing whatever the hell they think he's doing on this porn site. Don't get me wrong, Joaquin Phoenix in general, without him in a role or whatever, he is an attractive man, but it is Hollywood, so most people are attractive. So it's not like he's ugly, but as Joker, like in the whole ass makeup, I don't know. And maybe you are one of the people that went to that website and typed in Joaquin Phoenix Joker and handled whatever it is you wanted to do. I don't know. But that is hysterical to me. That's almost 1 million searches for this man in this makeup and outfit. Like, I think that's funny. But before we go into our next fact, I just want to congratulate Joker because, yes, it won the 2 Academy Awards that I called in the last video. Joaquin Phoenix won for Best Actor and the Best Original Score won. And I was so happy. I was so happy. I'm so glad that Joaquin Phoenix won Best Actor because he deserved it. I'm so glad that Hilda won for Best Original Score because she absolutely deserved it. And I was just thrilled to pieces. It's the second time Joker picked up an Academy Award. I need to talk about that at some point. Like, why is Joker such a captivating character? So much so that it's winning Oscars, my fam. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, so congratulations to Joker. Last 2 I just thought were kind of interesting. Like, kind of random, but kind of interesting. One of them is that there is an actual unit of mass that is called Batman. And it is 16 pounds. Like, there's a unit of mass that's called Batman. Of course, we know that there's a place called Batman in Turkey, so leave Batman Turkey. Here's a map. But it's so interesting to me that things that you wouldn't think would be called Batman are Batman. Like, that's crazy. And the last one is very esoteric. It's really random. But I was reading up a little bit on the Dark Knight trilogy the other day, and I added it to this notes of random facts. Along with, you know, people looking up Joaquin Phoenix doing porn and like how big Burt Ward's junk was. Like, which, whatever. In the Dark Knight trilogy, because Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne, he has a Lamborghini. And while he's not actually in the Lamborghini, it is actually called, and I am so sorry if I pronounce this incorrectly. I did not learn Spanish in high school and college. I studied French. So literally that is the only other language I know besides English. So I'm real sorry. Living in California my whole life, don't know Spanish. Probably should. In the Dark Knight trilogy, there is a 2006 Lamborghini model called the Murcielago. But that word literally translates into bat. Because of course it does. Of course Bruce Wayne is driving a car that translates into bat. Because of course he is. And you can see this similar car actually driven in the 2004 cartoon, The Batman, which was short-lived, but I loved so much. It lasted for a few years, not short-lived, but The Batman is so underrated. I don't understand why people sleep on The Batman. The Batman was fun as hell. But anyway, his car is the same basic model, but an animation of the Bat Lamborghini. So, I think that's kind of cool. There are always very random facts about the Caped Crusader, more than I discuss in here or even in the other video. And I'm sure that I can do more and more videos like this. But I think that it's very interesting, the in-universe and out-of-universe facts and things that happen around this Batman character. He's so ingrained into pop culture, into everything. It's hard not to celebrate this character. He's just so cool. Like I said, if you are pretending like you're not a Batman fan, you're just lying, and no one likes a liar. No. But I do hope you guys liked these very, very WTF facts. Thank you guys so much for watching this video about 10 crazy facts that you probably didn't know about the Batman. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bat thumbs up. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description below, including Instagram at History of the Batman. So why don't you give it a follow and become a Gothamite? Check out all the rest of my Batman videos on this channel. And, oh, of course, please subscribe to this channel so you can become a part of this Batman community. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will have more History of the Batman soon right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye. What?